Imagine this. You wake up, you look at your thermometer, and you see that it's 130 degrees. You get antsy and put on your spacesuit and walk outside. You look down the street and see the ocean, but to just see that the ocean is by your feet. These are things that we'll be experiencing within the next 30 years if we don't do anything about our environmental issues. Quote from the Green New Deal, "If global warming proceeds above 2 degrees Celsius beyond pre-industrial levels, we will be experiencing by the year 2050 fires and wildfires that spread 2 times the amount than they did years preceding 2019. So today, I'll be arguing that we need to implement the Green New Deal into our Congress so we can save our skin and our environment, quite literally. So, if you don't know what the Green New Deal is, I will let Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez explain in this quote. Importantly, it is a non-binding resolution, meaning that even if it were to be passed, it wouldn't be passing any laws or executive orders, merely setting the stepping stone for our House and Congress to realize that they need to be working on this within the upcoming years. Which sounds very reasonable, because if we don't work on this, we're going to be leaving our country in shambles and on fire. Another quote from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is that it secures for all people of the US and generations to come clean air, water, climate, community resiliency, healthy food, access to nature, and a sustainable environment. That also sounds very nice to me. So, if you don't speak politician, luckily I do, and for you, I can translate it. Pretty much, it's just a bill that's setting the stepping stones to Congress to let them know, hey, if you don't work on this within the next couple of years, we are going beyond the point of no return, and we can't fix our environment. So, snap, let's get to it. Pretty much. But we kind of live in this world where you have people who love to say things like, oh, well, it won't matter because I won't be around, or, oh, well, it won't affect me, so why should I care? And these people are a big problem because they're just not caring about our future generations, even though they will also still be living in this generation with them. So they will be experiencing it, unless they think they will be passing 20 years early. I don't know. But as the United States being the biggest superpower, we sadly have emitted the most gas. Quote, from the Green New Deal, because the United States has historically been responsible for a disproportionate amount of greenhouse gas emissions, having emitted 20% global greenhouse gas emissions by 2014. Imagine, the #1 superpower in the world is also the #1 emitter of all gases. We single-handedly cover 1/5 of the total of our planet's greenhouse gases. If we ourselves can't do something, then we're lost. All we need to do is maybe just switch to renewable energy, or maybe have electric cars, or just go with solar panels. But a lot of people tend to say that, no, it's going to cost too much, and it will be too expensive, and it's going to steal our cars, and you're going to steal our buildings, and I'm going to have to become a vegan. Quote from the New York Times, replacing them with sources that do not emit greenhouse gases will cost trillions of dollars and increase the cost for electricity for millions of families. But in the long run of things, we would actually be saving a lot of money. With our worsening environment and our limited supply of fossil fuels, it would be cheaper to just go solar and make use of that killer star we have in our sky and not focus on blood and oil. There's no real reason for going for that. And like I said, we only have so much coal, so we'll be spending a lot more money on coal. But alas. So we also have a problem. We also have a problem with people who like to deny and not believe in global warming and say it's just a hoax. And these people who don't care are why we have to implement this bill. They're too ignorant to think about the near future and their fellow Americans around them. and for the better and the greater good of our own planet. In a mere 20 years, we will be experiencing deadly heat waves that affect everyone, no matter where you are on the globe. So, I don't know how they're not going to deal with that, but if somehow they do, good for them. Another quote from the New York Times: Earth was on track to experience food shortages, fatal heat waves, and mass die-offs of coral reefs by the year 2040, earlier than expected charts. And like I said earlier, year 2050 will be experiencing massive forest fires. 10 years earlier than that, we'll be experiencing the heat waves. And I don't think I want to be living that kind of life, and I don't think you would either. If we want to be living in a decent life in the next 30 years, we need to pass this bill. It's not making mandatory laws or executive orders either, which is why I don't understand why it isn't passed. It is simply just suggesting the change and what we should be doing and how we could be working on this and some solutions to it. So maybe our government can save themselves and us fellow Americans. If the rest of the world can figure out renewable energy and how to do it, I would assume that the United States can unite and come together and solve this problem. Even if it were to be, we can go to electric cars, or we can just, in certain states, electric cars in certain states, we can limit how much energy we just use. Or, hear me out, we just change our buildings. Or, as everyone's been saying, we go to solar energy and just go to green alternatives, like France, who has renewable, clean nuclear energy. They figured it out. I'm sure we could too. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, was just offering something to stimulate our government's mind and to let them know that, hey, you should probably be working on this, because if we're going beyond the point of no return, it's going to be a cruel 30 years of rising oceans, killer heat waves, food shortages, and not to mention death. Millions of Americans will die because of these increased temperatures. Quote from AOC: it will also be giving millions of jobs, well-paying jobs, a job with a family-sustaining wage, something that can keep people afloat. Although it may cost billions and billions of dollars to follow through with the Green New Deal, I think it will be the most valuable investment we make as a country, because although it may cost billions and trillions, I dare say we will save multi-trillions passing this deal, trillions of dollars. And it would not only be saving our skins, literally, from skin cancer and just heat and getting sunburned, but it would be saving the rest of the world. And we can at least carry on normally, so we don't have to worry about maybe, potentially in our future, having to wear a spacesuit, or worse, becoming a lizard person.